So let's say you have about $50,000 to spend on a gently used sports car. Well, your options are pretty open. You've got a Chevy Corvette, a Toyota Supra, you can even get a Ford Mustang GT, but none of them quite have the same pizzazz and presence as the Alfa Romeo 4C. And in today's video, we're talking 4 reasons why this is an extremely underrated and affordable exotic car. Now, before we dive into today's video, I do want to extend a huge thank you to Exclusive Cars of South Salt Lake City, Utah for giving me the opportunity to review this vehicle for y'all today. If you guys are in the market for a gently used vehicle, make sure you reach out to them and let them know that SchwayZ sent you. I'm going to put their information down in the description below. So this is the Alfa Romeo 4C, and it was actually introduced back in 2016, and this was Alfa's reintroduction into the United States after a several decades-long hiatus. And it was a very good reintroduction because this is one of the best sports cars, or dare I say exotic cars, that you can buy on the market today. This pretty much goes head to head against something like the Lotus Elise, where it's essentially an exotic car that's sub $100,000 range. And we'll talk about pricing later on in the video. But in terms of the sizing here, this is about 3 inches longer than a Mazda Miata. So it's about 157 inches long, but its weight is about the same. It's about a 2,400 pound vehicle. So as you can imagine, this thing handles like a dream, and its performance is incredible. Now, the first underrated feature about this vehicle has to do with what's under the hood, or I should say the trunk, because this is a mid-engine exotic car. So to pop open the trunk, you actually have to pull on this little handle over here located inside of the driver door jamb. And then popping open the boot, you have this Alfa Romeo engine and a little trunk compartment, but this thing does not have any type of struts, so you actually have to use this little prop rod to keep the trunk open. Now, opening up the trunk of this vehicle, not only do you reveal a pretty small storage compartment, but in front of that is the engine. This vehicle is a mid-engine setup, which for under $100,000 is kind of hard to come by. Now, the numbers here aren't that impressive. We're talking a 1.75 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that only produces about 237 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. However, when you take into consideration the fact that this car only weighs 2,400 pounds and is the same size as a Mazda Miata, those numbers are a little bit more impressive. 0 to 60 for this thing is just around 4.1 seconds, which is blazing quick for a vehicle of this size. Now, the other reason why this thing is so quick is because it's mated to a 6-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. Unfortunately, you cannot get this in a manual like the Lotus Elise. It only comes in the dual clutch, but it's a pretty quick shifting dual clutch transmission, and that's part of the reason why it's able to get that sub 4.5 second 0 to 60. Now, the next feature that makes this an underrated exotic car is the sound of its exhaust. Yes, it's only a 4-cylinder, but this is arguably one of the best sounding 4-cylinders out there, aside from maybe a Fiat 500 Abarth. If you got the sport exhaust, it actually didn't come with a muffler or a resonator, so this is one of the very few cars that came straight pipe from the factory. Let's take a listen to what it sounds like. Now, the third thing that makes this underrated exotic car is the extensive use of carbon fiber. First off, you can see carbon fiber located all throughout the headlight unit. You can see it furthermore on the A-pillar and on the side view mirrors, and more carbon fiber on the side skirt of the driver's side, but that's not all the carbon fiber by any means. In fact, the entire chassis of this vehicle is built with carbon fiber. Yes, just like most modern exotic vehicles, the entire interior tub is made of carbon fiber. All of the doors and the hood, everything is bolted directly to the carbon fiber interior. It's part of the chassis of the car. You can even see more carbon fiber located behind the seat cushion as well. It's just gorgeous. And the mix of carbon fiber with lightweight aluminum is the reason why this thing only weighs about 2,400 pounds. Now, the fourth reason why this is an underrated exotic vehicle is because this vehicle could probably be daily drivable. Let's jump inside. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Jumping into the interior, it's got some pretty nice use of materials. You have a leather wrapped steering wheel with a flat bottom design. You've got leather wrapped surfaces all throughout with some yellow contrast stitching which matches the exterior color. More soft touch material over here. And in terms of daily driving this vehicle, you do have a typical Alpine audio system. It does look like an aftermarket component, but this is actually from the factory. But you've got Bluetooth audio here. Moving below the infotainment is your air conditioning. Yes, you have power air conditioning. You also have power door locks. You can control the fan speed down here. And then you also have automatic windows and mirror controls located over here, along with different drive modes. So you have a dynamic mode, which is kind of more for sporty driving. You've got an all-weather mode, and then the N mode is kind of just like your normal driving mode. So various different settings depending on what conditions you're driving this vehicle in. You've also got a 7-inch instrument gauge cluster display that's all digital, which was kind of new for back in 2016. And then depending on what drive mode you're in, it'll change what the center gauge cluster looks like. And this vehicle also comes with cruise control, believe it or not, on this little turnstock over here. And further evidence that you can daily drive this vehicle is that you have 2 cup holders for the passenger and driver side, along with a cigarette style power outlet to plug in different devices. You've also got a little storage compartment over here where you can put like your owner's manual and your registration and random knickknacks over there. And I would say mostly you could probably drive this vehicle to and from work every single day by just turning on the cruise control, putting it in the natural mode, and then coasting at 70 miles per hour on the freeway. Now the other added benefit is this one is the cabriolet version. So it's got a targa top. You simply take off these little straps over here, and then this entire targa top kind of rolls up, giving you a nice open air feeling inside of the cabin. The other thing you have to do is just remove these 2 little bolts over here. They kind of twist out and pull out. And then you can simply hide this targa top inside of the trunk and then have a nice convertible feel inside of your Alfa Romeo 4C. So it's kind of like a Corvette to a certain extent, where you have the dual functionality of a coupe and a convertible. Perfect for nice summer night cruising. Now don't worry, just because this vehicle has some of these creature comforts doesn't mean it lacks some of the ethos of an exotic car, which consists of lacking certain features as well. Let me show you what I mean. As you can see here, there is no glove box in this vehicle aside from just this little flap over here where you could maybe stick a wallet or something like that. And then this is also the cord where you can plug in your auxiliary or USB ports for like some music streaming in case you don't want to use the Bluetooth. The other thing is that no Alfa Romeo 4C comes with power steering. So this is a manual steering car, but given the fact that this thing only weighs 2,400 pounds, it really isn't that bad. I was pulling it out of this parking garage over here, and at very slow speeds, it's kind of difficult to turn, but it's not as hard as some other vehicles I've driven without power steering. Once you get this above 2-3 miles per hour, it's actually pretty easy to turn the steering wheel. And then if you're the type of person that wants to throw a golf bag inside of your sports car, well, this may not be the best car for you. As I showed off earlier, this is really the only closed storage compartment inside the vehicle. It's about 3.7 cubic feet of space, so really not enough to fit almost anything. Now, you guys may be asking, well, what about the front trunk? Since this is a mid-engine vehicle, isn't there any space under the hood? Unfortunately not. This area, even though it looks like it opens, is actually sealed off. So really the only people that are supposed to open this is Alfa Romeo techs, and there's a lot of mechanical components located underneath here, and so you really can't use this as a usable frunk. The only closed storage is in the back. That's a little unfortunate, but on brand with exotic vehicles. Well, there you have it, folks. That was 4 reasons why the Alfa Romeo 4C is an extremely underrated exotic vehicle. Now, unfortunately, the vehicle behind me has been sold, so I can't actually get it on the road and show you what it drives like, but I do want to finish off this video talking about pricing. Now, when this vehicle came out, it was in the mid $60,000 range, and if you got the targa top like the one behind me, it was about a $10,000 premium. But nowadays, you can get the targa top in the high $40,000 range. Some of the best condition ones are going in the low 50s. So this is about the same price as a gently used Chevy Corvette or a pretty new Toyota Supra. Personally, if you want to stand out a little bit from the crowd, I think this is the best option. Not only is it a lightweight exotic sports car, but when you pull up to the valet, people will assume this is like a Ferrari or something that competes in a much higher class than just your typical Chevy Corvette. This thing just has a certain look to it, unlike a lot of the competition. And also, buying this vehicle, you're going to have very little depreciation because they only built these for 4 years. So there's a very limited inventory of these Alfa Romeo 4Cs. So you could buy one, drive it for a few years, and likely sell it for almost the same price as you bought it. So it's really a used car bargain in the exotic car space. But what are your thoughts on the Alfa Romeo 4C? Would you take this over a Lotus Elise, or there's really not that much other competition sub $60,000 range? Let me know down in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for all of the weekly car videos. Also check me out on all the social media at SchwayZ_. Until next time, everybody, I hope you stay SchwayZ, stay healthy, have a wonderful day.